when you hear the words public policy or policy of any sorts, what's the first thing comes to your mind? If you're like me, the first thing that came to my mind is like, that's for those people. I'm not in the government and I don't have time for that. And so I just kind of dismiss it. However, my guest today, Stacy Blake, has a business case for civic leaderships. And he talks about some amazing things that I would like you to slow down and to consider as we are transitioning into the 2025 year with new leadership and just even going beyond that administration. It's time for us as business leaders to step up and get a seat at the table where important decisions are being made regarding our businesses. So many times we are talking the talk of complaints, but aren't doing anything about that. And did you know that it really doesn't have to be hard when you are informed with the right tools and with the right knowledge? And it really doesn't have to be hard. The way that Stacey talks about how you can get involved and have a seat at the table, it really is just about having a heart and really caring. There's so many ways that you can get involved right now, and you don't have to have an extensive background in any type of administration, but yet you can have a seat at the table doing the things that are necessary to move the needle in our town, in your cities, and even in our country, depending on what level that you get involved in. But what I will tell you is we need empathetic, caring people sitting at these tables, helping to make the right decisions that really affects us as business owners. And so I just want to encourage you to have an open ear as we listen and as you listen in on this podcast. And as you listen in, think to yourself, what is my role and how can I get involved? What is the first right step that I can take? Because it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and to take a personal responsibility and do what we can to make our city, our government, and our world a better place. And it starts with us taking that first right step. Trust me, you're gonna be educated a little bit more just from listening in on this episode. So let's go ahead and let's get into it.
What's up, leader? Welcome to the Gifted Entrepreneur Show, the dopest podcast on the planet that explores the world of Christian entrepreneurship and reveals secrets to unlocking your unique codes to create generational wealth. I'm your host, LaDondra Hervey, wife, mom, award-winning author, and Christian business coach who's excited to take you on a transformational journey of taking bold steps to unlock your unique gifts and pursue your entrepreneurial dreams with unwavering faith. Buckle up. It's time to make your dreams of creating generational wealth a reality. Hey, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Gifted Entrepreneur Show, the dopest entrepreneur show where we are unlocking the codes to creating generational wealth. Y'all, I'm so excited. We haven't had very many guests on the podcast, and that's been on purpose because it hadn't been the time or the season. But we are in the time and we are in the season, and God is bringing the best to really serve. And so, with the climate that we've been in, this interview with, when we think about elections and all the things, all the disruption and all the fears and just all the things that's happening, y'all, I believe that this interview is really going to bless you and give you some clarity and really give you some starting places on what can you do? Because you may be feeling like, I don't know what to do. And I don't know where to go from here. And so today we're going to have a conversation about what's next. So I want to introduce my guest, Stacy Blakeley. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be with you.
Well, thank you for being on. So, y'all, I'm going to give you a formal bio. Stacy Blakeley is the CEO of the Policy Circle. It's a national organization that informs, equips, and connects women to be more impactful citizens. It was founded in 2015 on the belief that the free market is the best means to unleash human potential. The organization has grown to include 15,000 members in 48 states. Y'all, that's a lot. The Policy Circle has built a proven model to boost civic literacy. If you don't know what that means, we're going to get into it, so hang with us. And equip members to lead at the local, state, and national level through solution-oriented programming and approachable training. And Stacy is a noted public speaker who engages audiences in constructive dialogue and inspires citizens to take action in their communities as positive change makers. Her current speaking focus is the business case for civic leadership. I can't wait to get into that, Stacey. The because like what does that even mean? Like when you even think about that, because I will tell you, and I've been in this for a business consultant for the last 9 years. And when just getting in conversations with women from all over, it doesn't matter, background, diversity, like it doesn't matter. When you hear things like that, it's like that's not for me. Like
Right.
that's for the people who are in policy and politics and all of that. But is that true? What's your thoughts there?
I remember inviting a friend here in Dallas to come to a policy circle event, and she said, "I don't know anything about policy." And I said, "Well, wait. You have kids in public school?" Yes. I said, "You have owned a business?" Yes. And I'm like, "Your whole life is wrapped up in policy. Policy is really just kind of the ground rules, if you will, that and the guardrails around how we live our lives, how we run our businesses and raise our families." And so what I tell people all over the country is you know more than you think you know, and you can do more than you think you can do. And I think that's a big piece of this is starting to recognize that we have a knowledge base purely related to the work we do, the people we know, the relationships we build. There's value, enormous value. And you don't need to be a policy wonk to serve. And that's really not how our founding fathers envisioned this. It was supposed to be all of us. They didn't envision the women, but we're here, so deal with that. But it's really about all of us thinking about how can we build systems and policies and opportunities for more people to thrive, for there to be, peace and safety and security. You've got more than enough knowledge to bring to the table and engage in constructive conversations. And I think more citizen servant leaders is definitely something that I think we're all hungry for right now. And you
Yes.
touched on another piece, which is, okay, well, not me. Somebody else do that. You know what
Mm-hmm.
we get when we just let everybody else run the show? Well, you can see it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You get
Mm-hmm.
polarization. You get
Mm-hmm.
people sitting around the table that have no idea what it's like to run a business, raise your kids, pay for childcare, make sure you make payroll. I mean, there are plenty of folks making decisions for us. Why wouldn't you want a seat at that table?
That's powerful. That is powerful. I'm gonna unpack more of that because there's a lot more to get into. But before we do that, can we back up just a little bit and can you just share like your heart and why did you even start this and like what made you want to get into this type of work? And yeah, let's just start right there. Let's start there because I have more questions.
Okay. Well, I didn't start the policy circle. I got to know the founder through a women's professional ministry that I've worked with for years called Four Words. So the number four and word. And
Mm-hmm.
it's an amazing ministry.
Familiar.
Yeah. So are you familiar with them?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's an organization that really serves Christian women in the C-suite. And they
Mm-hmm.
introduced me to the founder of the policy circle. And when you meet somebody and you think, gosh, we're like firing on all cylinders. And it was this really remarkable moment for me because my background is such a mixed bag. I worked on Capitol Hill. I worked in marketing and events for Fortune 500 companies. And then I went to law school in my 30s. And then I practiced law, commercial litigation, and I loved the law, didn't like law firms in that structure. And so I started a consulting business 2013 and met so many amazing people because I served a lot of nonprofits. And so when I connected with Sylvie Legere, the founder of the Policy Circle, it was as if every turn, pivot, pothole in my career, if you will, it all came together, and it was like the Lord used every experience I've ever had in this role. And I'm just so grateful because it's really the people that make the Policy Circle so special. And I joke sometimes it took me till I was 50 years old to find my people, but I found them at the Policy
Yes.
Circle. And you know how that is when you get around and the people that lift you up,
Oh,
and
yes.
you see those things on Instagram, like make sure that you're surrounded by people that when they're talking about you behind your back, they're lifting you up, they're
Mm,
building you up and finding opportunities. Well, that's what the Policy Circle, it's just women that want to see other women do really well. And it's experts that want to make sure that we're really informed. So I'm really blessed because it's like my dream job and it's like my sixth career. So it's really
wow.
great.
Wow.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
So was this like a passion for you growing up, being in like this type of work, or like was this something that just got started once you met that person? I forgot her name. I'm so
Sylvie.
sorry, Sylvie. And forward, like how did that
Oh,
journey?
I've been a nerd all my life.
I love it. I love it.
I've been a nerd. So I was like, captain of the debate team. I love digging in and learning about new issues. And it's so sad. I can still remember like everything we debated on. It's just that's taken up space in my brain. But I've always loved being engaged in current events. I was a little newspaper reporter for a small town newspaper. And then I went to DC in college as an intern. And I worked for the majority leader and just got that taste, the bug of just wanting to be engaged in change. And I loved politics. And I'll be honest, when I came back and I'm in school and I'm raising, I had both my daughters during law school. It was an intense period of time. I kind of tuned out and I wasn't as on top of things, really wasn't exercising that part of my brain. And this has been an opportunity to fire up something that was from my earliest days, a passion of just being really informed and having great conversations.
I love it. So when you made that transition into it, like, you were at that point to where, okay, I'm geeking out on this. I love law, all the things, and then you made the transition. One of the things that I like to ask our guests is like, how do you know when you're operating from your gifts and when you're operating from a place of a purpose? Like, and when I say that, like other people's expectations versus really being in alignment with what you feel that you were created to do. How do you know that you're there in that sweet spot? Like right now, you're saying, I feel like I found my people, I found my place. Like, how do you know?
Well, I'll tell you, really young age, I decided I wanted to be an attorney. And I don't know why. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I don't know. Maybe I watched LA Law or something. I'm dating myself. I don't know. But it was planted very firmly, like 9 years old. And so, when you latch on to something like that, it's very hard to let it go. And what I found is I was in my, mid 30s, I had two little kids, and I dreaded every day I pulled in my parking garage at my downtown law firm and I'd feel this sense of dread. And all day I'd like push and push. And my whole identity was wrapped up, even though I was a believer, my whole identity was wrapped up in other people's approval. It was being an attorney. It was working in the big building downtown. And I just pushed so hard. And I can
Mhm.
remember driving home one night so exhausted. It was late. I'd left for my kids, got up. I was getting home after they were in bed. And it was really sad. And I thought, if I could just have a really small car accident. Like I didn't want to actually hurt myself. And I even thought a really small accident, and I don't want to mess up my face. But do you know why? Because I wanted to rest and eat
Yeah.
fruit salad. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like it was
yeah.
so I had pushed and pushed and holding on to this dream that was all mine. And I had not prayed. Really, I think at any point in that saying, Lord, is this where you want me? Is this
Mm,
what you want me to do? And when I finally opened myself up, I would be, and I, for whatever reason, I have deep thoughts on the tollway, but I'm on the tollway. And I remember finally releasing some day that I was driving. I was like, okay, Lord, your plan, not my plan. Your plan, not my plan. And then every day I would drive and go, are you going to tell me the plan? Because I could use a little direction. And, I'll spare you the details, but I mean, I quit practicing law. I launched out in real faith with an idea.
mm,
And I knew immediately, and I had a peace that I didn't have much money in the bank account. I had been on my steady law firm paycheck. I didn't have that safety net, but I really knew the Lord had plans for me. And within 15 days of getting my business cards planted, I had a ministry client. I had a homeless shelter that serves people in Dallas, and it's all modeled around them surrendering their addictions, surrendering. And I thought, gosh, the Lord is just like pounding, like surrender, surrender. Because I think we get real hung up, like, this is the plan. This is the roadmap to my success. And I think when you let go of your identity being wrapped up in that, I mean, he reveals things to me and has put things in my path. I could have never done it on my own, ever.
that is powerful, powerful. I love that you said some key words there. You had a peace. There's a peace that happened and that let you know you were on track. And then that surrendering part, woo, especially if you're one a high achieving entrepreneur, like that's not an easy thing to do. Like, and
Oh,
then, or, I know a lot of women are like, okay, type A, and that's not easy because you have your own plans, but it's like,
yeah.
God, let your plan and your purpose prevail. And so that is super powerful. And I love that you said unraveling your identity from it. I remember that when it's funny with your story, I remember with me, like when I first started, I used to always say, I'm gonna be an attorney. I'm gonna be an attorney because I wanted to get my Uncle Steve out of jail.
Oh,
And
wow.
for me, like I went and actually worked in a law office and all the things. I'm the first to just be knocking down stuff, and I'm like, let's go. And as I started walking in that direction in the law office, I'm like, yeah, nope, that's not what I want to do. But I was able to pick up breadcrumbs. And had I not paid attention and I listened, I would have been in the wrong thing doing doing work that wasn't really assigned to me. It has a purpose, but it's not assigned to me.
Yes.
And I think that's a mistake sometimes that we can find ourselves in. Because had my Uncle Steve, because he's passed away now, but had he transitioned and I was in the wrong thing, my identity would have been wrapped up in something again that I wasn't even supposed to be doing to try to save my uncle. So I really love that story. And I hope that you ladies, as you're listening to this, and if your identity is wrapped up in something and you just don't have that peace, or you feel that pull where the Lord is like grabbing your heart and like, there's another level to this. Pay attention to that because the work that you're doing, Stacy, right now is so impactful. I want to get into that a little bit more. So when you talk about making the case for civic leadership, like what does that even mean, and is there a difference between civic leadership versus when politics? Because a lot of times we think politics, and I just want to be honest, when you think politics, a lot of times it's like chaos. I don't want to
Yeah.
be in the chaos. I don't want to be in the division. I don't want to be in all this stuff. And that's not for me. Like, these are just conversations as women that we have. It's not for me. I'm not educated enough. Like, are these things that you have addressed or come up against with the women that you work with and serve and all that?
Absolutely. And let's kind of set the stage because you brought something up that I think is really important. And when we talk about civic life, civic engagement, this is about so much more than politics. I want you to think about your community. And one of the things that we have lost in our country is that sense of belonging and connection in our community. So, I mean, think about it. It's like, it's the Rotary clubs, it's the potluck at church, it's neighborhood watch, and all these different sort of civic organizations that were very much part of the fabric of our community or of our country over the last, really 100 years. And so many of those have been lost. COVID didn't do us any favors. And so what we find is people are more isolated. And so when you say civics or policy, people's mind automatically goes to running for office. There is so much more you can do. And so when we define civic life at the policy circle, it can be everything from volunteering at your kid's school. It could be, serving on your HOA in your neighborhood, and or being part of the Rotary Club or a community garden. It's sewing into the civic fabric of your community and doing it in a way that you're looking for solutions, you want to solve problems, you want to help the most vulnerable. And so at the policy circle, we believe there's sort of three core components to being engaged civically. And it's really the first and foremost, the duty we have as citizens is to be informed. And when I say be informed, it's not just tune in to your one little bubble, cable station, or to watch some videos on TikTok. To be informed means you make an effort. And the policy circle, one of the things that we provide to our members are policy circle briefs. They're multimedia. We take big topics like housing or immigration, and we unpack those so you kind of understand, like, well, what are the issues? How do we measure success? What are the solutions? But most importantly, with every brief, we have a section, what can you do? Like, how can you take action? And, you mentioned the size of the organization. This started with 3 women getting together in their living rooms, putting some good materials together and having a conversation, just a healthy dialogue with civility. Now we have 360 of those circles in 48 states, and they read a brief and then they sit down and they have a constructive conversation. So I'd say this first piece that I was encourage, your community that you engage with here regularly, they already come to you for good information, but there are plenty of opportunities and sources that can give you a bigger picture so you can understand what's going on and not get all caught up in the spin, the pundits. So be informed. And I'd really say the second piece of this, show up, identify opportunities in your community, and just go listen, ask some good questions. You'll be shocked at the things you learn, and you'll be noticed because you're thoughtful and you're not showing up just yelling at a school board meeting. One of our slogans is be more curious, less furious. And there's a lot of people that are real furious, but they're not taking the time to get informed and credible and show up and do something constructive. And so that's that groundwork, being informed, showing up. But this third piece I want to share with you is look for opportunities to build your skills. Because when you engage in civic leadership, it does a couple things for your business, Ladondra. It elevates your profile. Okay. Sorry, you run for office or you start showing up to influential meetings. They're like, oh, there is, Jackie, she owns a couple dry clean. She really understands how to run a small business. We should have her on a task force. There's so-and-so, she's a teacher. We need to be talking to her about education. So you get to know who the decision makers and the stakeholders are, and then you become known. So it elevates your profile. Say the other thing, we kind of had this joke during COVID, like, you want a seat at the table before the table's on fire? And think about the businesses that were closed down, just boom, next day. And for us, it's like, wouldn't you love to be at at that table where those kind of decisions, I hope we never make those decisions again, but where big decisions are made that impact businesses and that impact your industry, and having a seat at the table matters for you professionally and for your community. It's like a win-win. And so those are really, when I talk about making the business case, it's really about showing up, being known, and being part of the process as opposed to just reacting to it in your business life.
That is very, very good. And I agree with all of that. And I appreciate that breakdown because it can be intimidating thinking about, like, well, where do I fit as a woman in business? Like, and is that for the males? Because mostly you see more male dominated uh, people in those professions, or and just politics. And so you just again count yourself out. When you say be informed, I love that you talked about the briefs that you do and just having healthy engagement and conversations around that. Is there, beyond the briefs and being in the bubble of our news that we listen to, is there any credible sources that you would recommend for people women to look at, or that would be helpful on their journey in being informed, like being really informed, not what the media want to project on you, but
Yeah.
really having true factual type things to make a decision for yourself?
100% everybody asks this question. I think we are all so hungry for reliable information. And one of the things the policy circle does, I'll just add, is we're nonpartisan. So you go read that brief. It's not like progressives want this and conservatives want this. We give you the facts, and every single thing in the brief is linked. So you want to go to the source data. You want to go read a big white paper. You want to go see what the government data is. So I do want to make that little plug. We love a couple of sources. There's a website you can go to called All Sides Media. And I really like it because they'll say, well, this is what a left-leaning paper would say. This is what a right-leaning paper would say. And here's one we kind of think is in the middle, because I really feel like you need to read 3 or 4 sources to really understand what's going on. It's sad, but it's true. Our days of, oh, it's in the news, it's factual, those are kind of long gone. And so All Sides does a good job. There is a woman, she's actually based here in Texas, and I really think she does a great job in providing solid analysis. She does them in quick little videos, typically on Instagram, but it's called Smart Her News. And Jenna is terrific. So I really recommend that as a source. One of the other sources that I've really enjoyed listening to and getting engaged with over the last couple of years is the Free Press. It's run by Barry Weiss. They kind of cover things other people aren't covering, and they're big on freedom of the press. Like, cover it all, the good, bad, and the ugly. And, let's let the readers and listeners make up their own minds instead of telling them what to think. So I love the Free Press. Those are a few. And then there's another search engine I like. Full disclosure, one of our board members is part of this, but it's called Free Spoke. And I like that too, because they curate the news from a lot of different sources, but they also don't track you, like the other searches do. And it's
Yes.
also there's also no porn on their search, which I know that's kind of a weird thing, but I like having good, healthy sources that are trying to do a good job of cleaning up our internet, ecosystem. So that's the other one.
Okay, I love those. I hope that y'all wrote those down. If not, like, go back and listen to those, because those are some very, very great ones. And I will also list those in the bio of this podcast, so you'll have them as well. The other thing that I want to say is, okay, so you said be informed. You said show up, be curious, not furious, and then also look for opportunities to build your skills. So when you say look for opportunities to build your skills, is that more from a volunteer standpoint, or what would be a first step that someone could, like, woman, because I know that you really focus on women, that a
Yeah.
woman could take to build those skills?
So the one thing that we offer at the Policy Circle is the Civic Leadership Engagement Roadmap. It's kind of a
Okay.
mouthful, so we shorten it and call it CLEAR. This is a program. We have women all over the country. It's virtual. It's 3 months. And part of this is you kind of go back and learn some founding principles, which I'm an attorney and I was like, I don't need to do your founding principles. Okay, I need it. It was a really good refresher. But also one of the assignments for that is, to show up at some of these meetings, like I mentioned. But what we have found is that there are a lot of opportunities to serve in appointed roles, because there are women, you probably have so many in your community. They got great skills and experience, but they're not going to run for office. They're not going to put their family through it. don't want to be part of the chaos. But you can serve in appointed roles from city appointments, task force, commissions. The county level has a number of these appointments, everything from behavioral health to economic development. And then there are thousands of roles that are appointed by your governor. And many of these are bipartisan commissions. Some are big paying roles, some are volunteer roles. But these are opportunities. One, it looks real good on your resume. I mean, you put on your bio that you're serving on a task force or commission. There's a level of credibility that comes with that. It also is an opportunity for you to learn how to work with a group of probably very diverse opinions on issues and land on solutions. Many of these commissions, you have to learn how to deal with really complicated budgets. We have a woman who is now a retired nurse who is serving on the licensing and occupation board for the state of Texas. Texas has millions of occupational licenses, and she's sitting in a seat trying to think, how do I make it easier to do business? How do I make it for small business owners, women in the beauty industry? So she's in this incredibly important seat. She's a retired nurse. She's not a big donor. She's not a political woman, but she went through our program. She did the assignment and she got appointed. So that's a great example of finding an opportunity that both elevates your profile, but you're going to build a lot of skills in that. And so that's what I mean by that. There are obviously nonprofits and all kinds of volunteer projects that can do similar things, but we really want to get more women sitting in seats of influence, civic influence. And we've had a really good track record so far.
You know what, Stacey, I really, really love that because again, if you want to make a difference, you need to be sitting in a seat where there's decisions that are being made. You don't like so many times we complain about things, but how engaged are you in the sitting at the tables, listening? I love that you said coming with curiosity instead of being furious because, once you're curious enough, you can learn, you can glean and you will be able to have access to the people and things to put your input in and that can be considered for what you're trying to do in business and for the people that you love and care about. And so, but if you're not in the seat and you're sitting on the sidelines, then I mean, what can we say about that? And so I do have a couple questions. So we just now this is a real life scenario. So we just got out of an election. Yay. I'm so glad it's behind us.
Me too.
Well, this part of it anyway. And one of the things we are in the grassroots stages of, for me, doing the Texas Christian Chamber. And with that being said, we're in partnership with a coalition, and and so one of the conversations that we were having is about like helping our members to navigate the political climate and knowing how to get involved in all of those type of things. And some of the things that were coming up in those conversations is one, how do you do that? And then how do you start to position um, people in the right places or, to really make that difference without having that fear? Because it's a lot of fear that's going on that is, when I say fear, it's more so like, one, I kind of preferenced in the beginning, I don't want to be a part of all of the drama.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of things that where it's just a bunch of conversations, but those conversations is turning into arguments and that really not
Right.
leading to any progress. And so what would be some words of encouragement or some practical advice that you would give? Because I mean, again, we were roundtabling and these are leaders, we were all leaders and, kind of navigating that. And it's just like, okay, and then positioning things to where, again, having a credible information where people can make a good decision that they felt good with for credible resources, but then also there's not that fear of, am I going to get into all the drama and I don't want to? Does that make sense what I'm putting out?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the concern, right? About getting embroiled in either a really uncomfortable conversation or conflict, or worse, getting, targeted and people are putting you on social media. I mean, there are legitimate concerns. But I mean, I think we both know the opposite of fear is faith. And there's a certain measure that you have to have faith in yourself, that you have talents, you have experience, you have perspective. It's valuable and it's needed. No one can else be you. No one can be you. You have a unique set of gifts and experiences that you're going to bring to any forum. I'd say the other thing is have some faith in your fellow man. Have some faith in your community. And yes, I know, have some faith in your leaders. Sometimes they certainly don't seem like they've earned it. But having a mindset, I think what you find is there are more people that, well, they want to be credible. They really do want to solve problems. Y'all really care about many similar things, even if you come at it from different directions. And so you don't know if you don't show up and you don't make an effort. If you just sit at your house and, get on your phone or whatever, you're certainly not going to make any progress. And there is an element of risk. There's an element of being able and being willing, because you've got faith in what you're working on, or that something really matters. You have a strong sense of purpose. You've got to have enough of that to get you over the hump. And I think a lot of this is taking that fear, kind of pushing it over here, and just making incremental steps. My thing that drives me crazy is like, we have certain politicians like, well, I'm so smart. It's typically a man. For governor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't take any of the incremental steps to get to know their neighbors or know the issues. They just are, the gift that keeps on giving. And so for us, we really want to encourage people, take these baby steps, build your confidence. There is a confidence gap with women. It drives me crazy, but it's real. I mean, a little joke I tell when I travel all around is women want to read the book, listen to the podcast, and know all the details before they even ask a question. And sleep at a Holiday Inn, and then they're experts on immigration. Like, it drives me crazy, right?
Yeah.
So what we try to encourage women is, step out. Don't wait till you're 110% qualified, like women do when it comes to applying for, raises or higher level positions in their organization. Take a good look at yourself and realize you have something to offer, and just step out in faith. And you can build your confidence by doing. You don't have to have it all figured out in advance. And I think that's one of the things that holds us back. And we think, oh, I don't want to say something wrong, or I don't know enough about the issue. Well, get informed, do your homework, but don't wait till you're the expert, because nobody else is waiting and they're making terrible decisions on your behalf.
It's so true. So true. So, okay. I mean, there's a lot to say, and I'm not, so if somebody wants to be involved in the policy circle, like what does that look like? And if I could preference this really quick, I would like to ask from this standpoint, because we have women from diverse backgrounds that listen to this podcast. And if I'm being honest with you, there's some of those women that feel like, well, in certain circles, like, hey, I don't fit, I don't belong. Is this like one of those circles? Or how does it look? Like, can you just give us the climate? Because
Sure.
I've heard some things and about it, so I know some background, and it's all good stuff. But I want to hear from you, for people who have not heard, like, who are sitting in those rooms? Is it diverse? And what type of conversation is having? And how do you get involved? Does that make sense?
Totally. So one thing I want to say, because you mentioned this earlier about the Christian Chamber, the Policy Circle has a new brief, and I can send it to you if you want to share it in your podcast notes, but it's about faith and civic life. And I think you would love that. And I think many people in your community would love that. We launched that initiative at the Museum of the Bible about a month ago, and it has just taken off because people want to understand, like, what's the intersection of faith with my civic life? How can we leverage these amazing faith-based groups to solve problems? Because they're the best at it. So anyway, got to make a little plug for that because I think it would be a good fit. To get involved with the Policy Circle, I would just say first, scope out the website. Look at our YouTube channel. We have so many videos and resources, and you can get a flavor for who we are and what we do. We are nonpartisan. We have a point of view that you mentioned in the intro, and that is free markets, trusting people to make good decisions for themselves, and then that local nexus of role is best. Kind of, you know what's best for your school, your kids, your business. We really look for solutions that are rooted in that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. But we also look for solutions where it's like not one size fits all or top down. And we believe the government should be accountable and it should be efficient. It should use your tax dollars well. So if somebody doesn't like those sort of core tenets, then we're probably not for them. If you like those kind of fundamental common sense approach, the policy circle is such an interesting mix of people. That civic leadership engagement program I told you about, I'm actually in a cohort right now. And first of all, it's like 35 women. It is very diverse. Age, race, geography, where they are in their careers. And like I just did a small group today. There's a homeschooling warrior mom from Texas. There's a woman in rural economic development who is, she's in Indiana. And then we have this amazing young woman in super small town Arkansas that is coordinating healthcare for people that can't afford it in three of the poorest counties in Arkansas. Like the stuff she deals with is unbelievable. But all of us, four of us sat today and we talked about elections and we talked about volunteering and such mixed bag of conversation, but so good. And that's what I love about the policy circle is I'm going to sit and engage because so much of it is virtual, which is nice. But even when we meet in person, when I organize a circle in Dallas, my goal is to have women from business, from philanthropy. I love to have multi-age groups. And, I've got moms bringing their adult daughters. I've even had them bring their own mothers. So I had all three generations. But that's what makes for rich conversation and having a perspective. Because if we all sit in our own little bubbles and everybody's got to look like us, everybody got to sound like us, first of all, it's boring. It's boring. Second of all, you don't develop a very full picture of what's possible because you only got your little lane. And so at the Policy Circle, we host summits. We have a wide range of speakers. And what I love is when I look out, there's like 300 women in that room, and they are in every stage and phase of life. And I think there's value when we get together and we learn from one another, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time because we can share best practices. So I think that's our culture. I told you before, it took me forever. I feel like I found my people. And I think that one of our goals at LaDondra is we want more women sitting around these tables that bring a really wide range of experiences because it just makes all of us better.
I agree with that. And you guys, here's what I want to say. There's no better time than to get involved than now. And I know that, and I'm speaking to you, and I speak from the heart. There is things that are happening just the climate period, and we need women who care. We need women who care, and we need women who are involved. They're sitting at the tables and they are making good decisions on behalf of the greater good. And so, but it's going to take for you, first of all, to be informed. It's going to take that we start having good, healthy conversations, starting to bring those dialogues back into place. Doesn't matter what side you're on. We really got to start getting back to a place to where not only we're healing, but then we can have good conversations that are forward focused. Another thing is that, I've brought it up just a few times as far as the division and being afraid of different things. But when you're in a right community, you have a community that's backing you up and y'all have that healthy engagement. Say, for instance, you did choose to get out there and be brave and say, you know what, I'm going to speak up. And perhaps something didn't play out how you thought it was. Well, when you have a safe circle of and community, you can come back and you can debrief that. It sounds like that's what's happening in the policy circle. And like you can debrief it and you can come back and say, okay, well, what's another angle to take at this? Or, you can start to just think things through. But if you're doing it from isolation or you're doing it
Yeah.
without having the right community backing you up, then that's when you can find yourself in a place feeling defeated, and you're moving out of faith into fear.
Yep.
And so it's really important to make sure that you're aligning yourself with people who have the same values that you do and care about some of the same issues that you care about. And so I just wanted to point that out because it can be easy to be like, that's not for me, or I don't think, on all the things, all the things. But we need to get to the place to where we're stepping up. And then if you really want to be, this is the last thing I want to say is your business. So there's been a lot of fear going on around in business. Like, well, what do you expect in 2025? Well, you can expect to get out of it what you put into it. I will say
Mm,
that.
that's
And
good.
so you can
That
you
is
can
good.
you can expect that part of it. And so we got to get to a place to where it's like, okay, well, what can I put into it? What's my part? What's my role? And if you don't know what that looks like, take some time to pray about it. And say, God, where are you leading me? And where is there a need? Where is there a need in the community? And then go get curious. That's something that I've been doing. I've just been listening. One thing that I'll do is I'm observing, I'm listening, and just paying attention. And then from that place, it starts to become a little bit more clear. And so, Stacey, what would be your final words of encouragement and I'm just going to let you free flow, that whatever comes up to you with somebody who may be afraid to step into that next level of getting engaged, from a civil perspective or wherever they need to be getting plugged in, what's the first step and what's those words of encouragement? And I'm just going to let you free flow. I'm going to stop talking.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. I'm going to throw out, a little bit of a shameless plug because it is kind of an easy way to get started. Our next clear cohort starts in February, and this is designed for busy women. Most of the stuff you do on your own time, and then you meet once a month, but you get coaching with an amazing woman who runs this program. And what I love about Kim Borchers that runs it is she will have one-on-one with you. And if you don't know what your gifts are, she's going to help you figure them out. And that's really valuable when you have someone speak into your life. And so I want to encourage folks to check that out because you're so right. Community is important. But I'd say the other piece of this, and, I'm in my 50s now. And so I'm kind of looking back on my professional journey. Talking to my 20-year-old daughters. I really want to impart a little piece, which is trust yourself. Trust that the Lord is going to put you in the right situations. And if you can, push that fear out to the side as much as you possibly can. I'm saying don't be crazy, right? Have discernment. Be careful who you spend time with. Guard your heart. Watch your tongue. Do things you got to do, right? But be a little bit bold and know that you have something really special to offer. And no one's going to know that. If you stay over in your little bubble, you stay in your business box, I would say professionally, step up, step out, get uncomfortable. I would say in your community, you made a great point. Listen, because you're going to find a little place where you're like, okay, that's where they need me. And then when you go in it with a mindset of how do I serve? How do I solve problems? You're a leader. You don't have to go in and know it all. You don't have to elbow your way in. You don't have to be a jerk. And we see all that. And unfortunately, some of those people get rewarded, but that doesn't need to be your path. And I think when you go into it with a servant's heart and kind of this openness, you're going to be shocked. You're going to be used in ways and look up and think, wow, I'm sitting here. And then when you sit there, do not let the enemy tell you don't belong there. Do not fall down for that stupid imposter syndrome that I hate. Know you're there because you've been called to be there and you're capable. That's it.
Period. End of story. I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
I hope y'all took that in. So where can they find you and get involved with the policy circle or the clear cohort that you mentioned
Yeah.
and all the things?
Just go to thepolicycircle.org. You can find all kinds of goodies. Follow us on Instagram because we put little tidbits of news. Right now there's so much going on with appointments and all this stuff. We give you good tools. You can understand actually what the law and the structure and understand. So follow us on Instagram. And then if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, I put a lot of tools and resources out there. I'll give you links. I'll put deadlines up and I'll give a little Texas resources occasionally. But yeah, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, I'd love to get to know more of your folks and see if I can't help plug people in. I think LinkedIn is like the best. I love it. So those are really the three ways. And, if you want more information and you've got a particular project and you want help, just reach out. I guarantee you we have our community working on what you're working on or that's been there and done that. And that's what we're really all about, is building that community of women that lift you up.
Okay, you guys, y'all have it. And it's Instagram, is it the policy circle? Is that where you
Mm-hmm.
find it? Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Throw,
Perfect.
throw, throw the THE there, the policy circle, and you will find us.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All righty, you guys, you have it. Stacy, I'm sorry, Stacy. We really appreciate you for being here, for imparting your wisdom. I believe we're all better for it. Like, even if it's just that first step of just being emboldened to
Mhm.
and be aware, just to be aware and be emboldened to say, you know what, I can do this. And my voice does matter. So I do appreciate you for being here. Y'all, if you have any questions, y'all be sure to reach out. And again, I will see you next time. Continue to be blessed by the best.
Thanks for having me.
Did that episode feel juicy or what? If so, please do me a favor and take 30 seconds to write a review. Your review helps us to spread the mission of creating generational wealth around the world. And if you tag me on IG stories, I'll be sure to reshare the love. And don't forget to join our Kingdom Collaborators Network, where we're coming together to intentionally collaborate to grow our business. Until next time, remember, for with Christ, nothing is impossible.